Very pleased to be joined on the line right now by Merritt Centennials head coach and GM Luke Pierce is with us. Luke, I understand that you've got your first player signing for the 2011-12 season.
Yeah, we're extremely excited to announce the signing of Dylan Chanter, 95-born defenseman from Armstrong. Played at the Pursuit of Excellence last year, and we feel is at 16 years old is extremely ready to play in our league and will be an impact player for us right away here.
Now, that name sounds familiar. He's a player actually that was here for spring camp, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was here for our April camp in Merritt, and he's a guy that we've kind of been watching since January with his club team, and I'd also seen him in Vernon last summer at the Sun Valley Showcase there. So kind of a guy we've been tracking for a little while, and we're pretty happy that he was still available for us to pick up here.
Now, we know that your philosophy is not to traditionally sign players before that you've seen them in a training camp situation. You want players to earn their way onto the team. Is this a similar situation to Jacob Reichert was last year, where you felt you needed to make a commitment to this guy and him to the hockey club to form a good relationship here moving forward?
Yeah, it is a bit of a similar situation. I think there are some differences. Jake, I think, was winning a championship in Revelstoke and all those types of things was a very popular commodity at the time. Dylan is as well, and just being a year younger, and with the new rules in the league, as we need to have a 95-born player in our roster, we didn't really want to leave it to chance for someone to just come up and make our team. So we're pretty happy that not only do we have that 95 roster spot filled, but we've got it filled with a guy who's going to be able to make an impact on our team right away on the blue line.
Well, and that's kind of interesting that you say that, because he's not even actually 16 yet. He's still 15 until September. Do you think that he can be an impactful defenseman at this level right off the hop?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the biggest things Joe and I discussed before making the call to Dylan was that both of us believe that he's physically mature beyond his years, and even speaking with him, he's a very mature young man, and we think physically that he's going to bring an edge to our game, and our fans, I would imagine, will probably be shocked when they see him and realize how young he is, because he's not afraid. He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder when he plays the game, and I think he'll be a really exciting guy to have in here.
6'1", 180 pounds, and not even 16, I'd say so for sure. Now, looking at his stats from last season, 4 goals, 18 assists, 38 penalty minutes in 59 games on the midget team. Do you feel that there's an untapped offensive potential there for Dylan?
I think to a certain extent that everybody kind of has some offensive abilities underneath everything, and I think that he could probably flourish into that type of player down the road. We're not going to put that kind of pressure on him right away early. If he's able to help chip in and provide some offense, great. But we've got some players coming back in Reese Wilcox and Brandon File and Billy Marshall, who can really provide some pretty significant offense from the back end. So that'll allow Dylan to kind of settle into the defensive side of the game and learn the league a little bit, and who knows down the road here what he's going to be capable of doing.
Now, obviously, when you look at your roster, you've got basically your defense filled out now at this point with the addition here of Dylan. What sort of message do you think this might send to potential players attending the spring camp in Abbotsford or even main training camp come August?
Well, I guess it's different reactions from people. I think some will maybe you'll think that we're done and they should move on and look at a different team, but others are probably going to take the approach that they want to prove that this is where they believe they should play and that they deserve to make our league, and we encourage that. I mean, we are by no means finished here with our defense or with any part of our roster. We've got some 20-year-old players that we need to move to get under the max here, and the easiest way for us to make those decisions is to have young guys come in and push through camp and prove to us that we can afford to move a guy and have a young guy fill in that spot. So on paper it might look like our defense is all filled up, but we're a long ways from finished yet.
Do you feel that with the guys that, and obviously you've got an idea of what your defense might look like without divulging the details, because like you say, it's a long way to go before the season actually starts, but do you feel that you've got a pretty formidable core there on the blue line with the addition here of Dylan, plus with guys like Billy Marshall and Brandon Fowle and Richard Saborin coming back to help your club?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you look at, you still got Cam Crawford as part of the mix there, and Billy as well as a 20-year-old. And right now, I think you put, possibly a guy like Dylan with Billy Marshall, who can really provide some stability for him, and it would be a pretty nice pairing, hypothetically. And what happens on the ice will probably dictate where we go from there. But with Reese and Brandon back together, I think that they were pretty much inseparable by the end of the year as far as being on the ice, and it gives us some really nice combinations to work with here.
Do you think that you'll see Dylan in your camp in Abbotsford or later on this month? Are you anticipating him being there?
No, we're not going to have him. He's going to be actually. He's got a sister getting married, so he's going to take that one off, and that's fine. He's still on the ice every single day in the gym with POE, and I think he's going to really be looking forward to a break, and he deserves it. He's worked extremely hard throughout the year, and I don't think anybody on our current roster or a lot of other kids that are still out of our league are working as hard as he is up until this point. So he'll have a nice little break there, and I'm sure we'll get him down to check the town out, and we'll look forward to having him right in camp in August.
Now, one thing that you mentioned to me whenever you look at signing a player, especially one like this, again in the off season, without bringing him to your training camp and basically playing his way onto your team through a camp, the fact is that there's a character to him. Same thing you said about Jacob Reichert. Same thing you've said about any players that you acquire in a trade, and it's actually the same sentiment that Joe echoed to me when he was announced as hired as your assistant coach and assistant GM. So does Dylan fit this mold?
Yeah, absolutely. His on-ice abilities were pretty evident for us, and the only step kind of left in our decision making was to check on the background, and I had a pretty good indication of what type of kid he was. He came and introduced himself to me at our spring camp, and I thought that was impressive and very mature for a young guy. Not a lot of players do that, and we made our calls. Troy Mick is a very reputable source of information and was his coach last year at POE, and a guy that I trust, and he had a lot of good things to say about Dylan. We've got some other mutual scouts that have watched and got to know him a little bit, and all had good things to say. So we think we won't have an issue there at all, and I've had long conversations with him and his family since then, and it all seems to sound great. And at the same time, Dylan needs to come in and still prove that he is the type of player we think he is, and fit in with the mold of our team, and continue to prove that he belongs here. And I have no doubt if he does that he'll have a very successful time here. All
right, Luke, sounds good. Congratulations on getting Dylan to commit to the club. Now, before I let you go, we're running a bit of a poll on the morning show today. Vancouver Canucks, Boston Bruins, not tonight's game, but who do you think is going to win the series overall?
I got the Canucks in 6, and hopefully sooner, or else I don't know if my wife will take it any longer.
All right, Luke, thanks for this. We'll talk to you soon.